Heading: A Quiet Life Disrupted. Dr. Elias Voss had always preferred the company of stars over people. Nestled deep within a dense forest, his high-tech laboratory was a sanctuary where he could lose himself in the mysteries of the universe. As one of Earth's leading astrophysicists, Elias had little time for social interactions. His days were spent analyzing cosmic data, and his nights were filled with dreams of distant galaxies. But all that changed one fateful morning. The sound of his comm device buzzing insistently pulled Elias from his sleep. Groggily, he reached for the device, expecting a routine update from a colleague. Instead, the stern voice of Director Kale, head of the Intergalactic Relations Department, filled the room. "Dr. Voss, this is Director Kale. We have a situation that requires your immediate attention." Elias rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the remnants of sleep. "What situation?" he asked, his voice tinged with irritation. "As you may know, the Galactic Council has passed a new policy requiring every human to host an alien from planet Zorith. This is part of a cultural exchange program aimed at fostering intergalactic harmony." Elias's eyes widened in surprise. He had heard whispers of such a policy but never imagined it would affect him. "And how does this concern me?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. "You've been selected to host not one, but 2 Zorathian girls. They will be arriving at your location shortly. Please ensure they are provided with a comfortable and welcoming environment." Before Elias could protest, the call ended, leaving him staring at his comm device in disbelief. Hosting aliens? In his home? The thought was overwhelming. Heading: The Arrival of Luna and Silvara. Just as Elias was trying to process the situation, a soft knock echoed through his lab. It was a hesitant sound, unlike anything he had ever heard. Heart racing, he made his way to the entrance. When he opened the door, he was greeted by 2 figures who looked unlike anyone he had ever seen. Their skin shimmered like liquid silver, and their hair flowed like strands of starlight. One of them, who introduced herself as Luna, had eyes that sparkled with curiosity. The other, Silvara, was more reserved, her gaze sharp and observant. "Hello, Dr. Voss," Luna said, her voice melodic and warm. "We are Luna and Silvara from Zorith. We've come to live with you as part of the cultural exchange program." Elias felt a mix of emotions: surprise, confusion, and a hint of fear. He had so many questions, but before he could ask any, Silvara stepped forward. "May we enter? We've been traveling for a long time and are quite tired," she requested, her voice softer than Elias had expected. With a nod, Elias stepped aside, allowing the 2 Zorathian girls to enter his home. As they moved past him, he couldn't help but notice the strange devices they carried, which emitted a gentle hum. Heading: Adjusting to a New Reality. Over the next few days, Elias found himself learning more about Luna and Silvara than he ever thought possible. Luna was bubbly and curious, always eager to explore and learn about human culture. She spent hours watching Earth documentaries, marveling at the diversity of human experiences. Silvara, on the other hand, was more reserved. She was fascinated by human technology and spent most of her time studying Elias's equipment and experiments. Despite their differences, both girls were kind and respectful, making an effort to fit into Elias's routine. They helped with household chores and even assisted him in his lab, their unique perspectives often providing insights he had never considered. However, as time passed, Elias began to notice subtle changes in their behavior. Luna would occasionally receive strange encrypted messages on her device, which she would quickly delete. Silvara, meanwhile, seemed to be watching him more closely, as if waiting for something to happen. Elias couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Luna and Silvara's presence than met the eye. But for now, he was content to learn from them and enjoy the unexpected companionship they brought into his life. Little did he know, their lives were about to become even more complicated as the world around them began to react to the presence of these alien guests. The journey ahead would be filled with challenges, discoveries, and perhaps a few surprises that would change everything. Heading: the aftermath of the first wave. The city lay in ruins, a stark reminder of the Vorex's destructive power. Smoke rose from collapsed buildings, and the streets were littered with debris. Despite the devastation, there was a sense of hope among the survivors. The Vorex had been pushed back, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time before they returned. Elias, Luna, and Silvara stood amidst the wreckage, surveying the damage. Commander Yarrick joined them, his face grim but determined. "We've bought ourselves some time," Yarrick said, "but we need to prepare for the next attack. The Vorex won't make the same mistakes twice." Elias nodded. "We need to strengthen our defenses and come up with a new strategy." "Silvara, do we have any intelligence on their next move?" Silvara pulled up a holographic map, her fingers moving swiftly. "Our scouts have detected a massive Vorex fleet gathering at the edge of the solar system. They're preparing for a full-scale invasion. If they reach Earth, we won't stand a chance." Luna's eyes widened. "Then we need to stop them before they get here." "But how?" Heading: a bold plan. Elias's mind raced as he studied the map. "What if we take the fight to them? If we can disable their command ship, we might be able to disrupt their entire fleet." Yarrick raised an eyebrow. "That's a risky plan. Their command ship will be heavily guarded." "It's our best shot," Elias insisted. "We've already proven that we can disrupt their technology. If we can get close enough to their command ship, we can use a more powerful version of the disruptor to take it down." Silvara nodded in agreement. "It's risky, but it could work. We'll need a small, elite team to infiltrate the ship and plant the device." Luna stepped forward, her usual optimism shining through. "I'll go. I've been studying their systems, and I know how to bypass their security." Elias hesitated. The thought of sending Luna into such danger was terrifying, but he knew she was right. "All right. But we're going with you. This is a team effort." Heading: preparing for the mission. Over the next few days, the team worked tirelessly to prepare for the mission. Elias and Silvara modified the disruptor, increasing its power and range. Luna trained with Jarrek's soldiers, honing her combat skills and learning how to navigate the Vorex's technology. As the day of the mission approached, Elias couldn't shake the feeling of unease. He had grown close to Luna and Silvara, and the thought of losing them was unbearable. But he knew they had no other choice. The night before the mission, Elias found Luna sitting alone on the rooftop, gazing at the stars. He joined her, the silence between them comfortable yet heavy with unspoken words. "Nervous?" Elias asked, breaking the silence. Luna smiled faintly. "A little. But I'm also excited. This is our chance to make a difference, to protect both our worlds." Elias nodded. "You've already made a difference, Luna. More than you know." Luna turned to him, her eyes shining with determination. "We'll get through this, Elias. Together." Heading: infiltrating the Vorex command ship. The mission began under the cover of darkness. A small, stealthy spacecraft carried Elias, Luna, Silvara, and a team of elite soldiers toward the Vorex fleet. The journey was tense, every moment filled with the fear of detection. As they approached the command ship, Silvara took the lead, guiding them through the ship's defenses. "Their security systems are advanced, but they have a blind spot here," she explained, pointing to a section of the ship's hull. Using specialized equipment, the team breached the ship's hull and slipped inside. The interior was dark and foreboding, the walls lined with strange, pulsating technology. "Stay close," Silvara whispered as they moved through the ship. "We need to reach the central control room." The team moved swiftly and silently, avoiding patrols and disabling security systems as they went. Luna's knowledge of Vorex technology proved invaluable, allowing them to bypass obstacles that would have stopped them cold. Heading: the final confrontation. Finally, they reached the central control room. The massive chamber was dominated by a glowing console, surrounded by Vorax soldiers. "This is it," Elias said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We need to plant the disruptor and get out of here." The team moved into position, taking out the guards with precision and speed. But just as they reached the console, a voice echoed through the chamber. "You're too late, humans." The team turned to see a towering Vorax commander, his eyes glowing with malice. "Did you really think you could stop us? We are the Vorax. We are inevitable." Elias stepped forward, his voice steady. "You're wrong. We're not just humans. We're humans and Zorathians, united. And together, we're stronger than you." The commander sneered. "We'll see about that." A fierce battle erupted, the team fighting desperately to hold off. Heading: the first signs of suspicion. As the days turned into weeks, Elias grew more accustomed to having Luna and Silvara in his life. Their presence brought a sense of energy and curiosity to his otherwise solitary existence. Luna's infectious enthusiasm for Earth's culture kept him on his toes, while Silvara's analytical mind often provided fresh perspectives on his research. Yet, despite the growing camaraderie, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. It started with the encrypted messages. One evening, as Elias worked late in his lab, he noticed Luna hunched over her device, her fingers flying across the screen. The soft glow of the screen illuminated her face, revealing a look of intense concentration. When she realized Elias was watching, she quickly shut off the device and flashed him a nervous smile. "Just checking in with my family," she said, her voice a little too cheerful. Elias nodded, but the encounter left him uneasy. Later that night, he overheard Silvara speaking in hushed tones to Luna in their shared room. Though he couldn't make out the words, the urgency in their voices was unmistakable. Heading: Commander Jarek's investigation. The next morning, Elias received an unexpected visitor. Commander Jarek, a high-ranking officer from Earth's Interstellar Defense Force, arrived at his lab with a team of soldiers. Jarek was a tall, imposing figure with a no-nonsense demeanor. His sharp eyes scanned the room, lingering on Luna and Silvara. "Dr. Voss," Jarek began, his voice clipped and authoritative, "we've received reports of unusual activity in this area. Specifically, encrypted communications originating from your property." Elias felt a knot form in his stomach. He glanced at Luna and Silvara, who stood silently, their expressions unreadable. "I assure you, Commander, there's nothing unusual happening here," Elias said, trying to sound confident. Jarek's gaze narrowed. "With all due respect, Doctor, we'll be the judge of that. We need to question your guests." Luna stepped forward, her usual cheerfulness replaced by a rare seriousness. "We have nothing to hide, Commander. We're here as part of the Galactic Council's cultural exchange program." Jarek's eyes flicked to her, his expression skeptical. "Then you won't mind if we take a look at your devices?" Silvara's jaw tightened, but she nodded. "Of course. We have nothing to hide." Heading: A dangerous revelation. As Jarek's team examined Luna and Silvara's devices, Elias felt a growing sense of dread. He had come to care for the two Zorathian girls, and the thought of them being accused of espionage was unbearable. Suddenly, one of Jarek's soldiers called out. "Commander, we've found something. Encrypted files, heavily shielded. We can't access them, but they're definitely not standard communication logs." Jarek turned to Luna and Silvara, his expression hardening. "Care to explain?" Luna hesitated, her eyes darting to Silvara. After a moment, Silvara stepped forward. "Very well. We'll tell you the truth. But you must understand, this information is classified for a reason." Elias's heart raced as Silvara began to explain. We were sent to Earth not just as part of a cultural exchange, but to prepare humanity for an impending threat. The Vorax Coalition, a hostile alien faction, is planning an invasion. Our mission is to gather intelligence and help Earth defend itself. Jarek's eyes widened in shock. An invasion? Why weren't we informed of this? The Galactic Council feared that revealing the threat too soon would cause panic, Silvara replied. We were instructed to operate in secrecy until the time was right. Heading, a fragile alliance. Jarek's initial skepticism gave way to grim determination. If what you're saying is true, we need to act fast. The Vorax are a formidable enemy. We can't face them alone. Elias stepped forward, his mind racing. We need to unite humanity and the Zorathians. If we work together, we might stand a chance. Luna nodded, her usual optimism shining through. We've already begun coordinating with other Zorathian agents on Earth. But we'll need your help to mobilize human forces. Yarek hesitated, then extended a hand to Silvara. Very well. We'll work together. But if this is some kind of trick? It's not, Silvara interrupted, her voice firm. We're on the same side, Commander. The survival of both our species depends on it. Heading, preparing for the storm. Over the next few days, Elias's lab became a hub of activity. Jarek's team worked alongside Luna and Silvara to analyze the Vorax's capabilities and devise a defense strategy. Elias used his knowledge of astrophysics to identify potential weaknesses in the Vorax's technology, while Luna and Silvara shared critical intelligence about their enemies' tactics. Despite the looming threat, Elias found himself growing closer to the two Zorathian girls. Luna's unwavering optimism and Silvara's quiet strength inspired him in ways he hadn't expected. Together, they formed an unlikely but formidable team. One evening, as they reviewed their plans, Luna turned to Elias with a smile. You know, for someone who used to live alone, you're not so bad at working with others. Elias chuckled. I guess I've had good teachers. Silvara, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. We'll need more than teamwork to defeat the Vorax. But with your ingenuity and our knowledge, we might just have a chance. As the group prepared for the battle ahead, Elias couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. Despite the odds, they were united by a common purpose. And in that unity, he found strength. Heading, the calm before the storm. The night before the expected Vorax invasion, Elias stood outside his lab, gazing up at the stars. The sky was unusually clear, the constellations shining brightly. It was a stark contrast to the chaos that awaited them. Luna joined him, her presence a comforting reminder of the bonds they had formed. Nervous? She asked, her voice soft. Elias nodded. A little. But I'm also hopeful. If we can pull this off, it could change everything. Luna smiled. We'll make it through. Together. As they stood there, side by side, Elias realized that this journey had already changed him. He had started as a solitary scientist, content to explore the cosmos from the safety of his lab. But now, he was part of something bigger, a fight for survival, a chance to unite two worlds. And as the first signs of the Vorax fleet appeared on the horizon, Elias knew that the real battle was just beginning. Heading, the sky darkens. The first sign of the Vorax invasion came in the form of a faint, ominous hum that reverberated through the air. Elias, Luna, Silvara, and Commander Yarek stood on the rooftop of the lab, their eyes fixed on the horizon. The once clear sky was now dotted with strange, pulsating lights that grew brighter with each passing second. They're here, Silvara said, her voice steady but laced with tension. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. The Vorax fleet was unlike anything he had ever seen. Massive, jagged ships loomed in the distance, their dark silhouettes blotting out the stars. Smaller vessels darted between them, like predators circling their prey. Yarrick clenched his fists. We need to mobilize our forces immediately. If they reach the city, it'll be chaos. Luna turned to Elias, her usual cheerfulness replaced by a rare seriousness. We've got your back, Elias. Let's show them what humans and Zorathians can do when we work together. Heading, the first wave. The Vorax attack was swift and merciless. Their ships descended upon the city, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts that reduced buildings to rubble. Panic spread like wildfire as people fled for their lives. Elias and his team sprang into action. Using the lab's advanced technology, they coordinated with human and Zorathian forces to mount a defense. Silvara's strategic mind proved invaluable as she directed troops to key locations, while Luna's knowledge of Vorax tactics helped them anticipate the enemy's moves. Elias, meanwhile, focused on countering the Vorax's technological advantage. He had spent weeks analyzing their ships and weapons, and now he put that knowledge to use. With the help of Jarek's engineers, he developed a device capable of disrupting the Vorax's energy shields. If we can disable their shields, we stand a chance, Elias explained as he handed the device to Yarrick. Yarrick nodded. We'll deploy it at once. But we'll need cover to get close enough to their ships. Heading, a daring mission. The plan was risky, but it was their best shot. A small team of human and Zorathian soldiers, led by Yarrick and Silvara, would infiltrate the Vorax fleet and deploy the disruptor device. Elias and Luna would remain at the lab, coordinating the defense and providing support. As the team prepared to leave, Luna pulled Silvara aside. Be careful out there, she said, her voice trembling slightly. Silvara placed a hand on Luna's shoulder. I will. You and Elias hold the fort here. We'll be back before you know it. Elias watched as the team disappeared into the chaos, his heart heavy with worry. He had grown to care deeply for Luna and Silvara, and the thought of losing them was unbearable. Heading, the battle rages on. Back at the lab, Elias and Luna worked tirelessly to keep the defense lines intact. They monitored the battle from a holographic map, tracking the movements of both their forces and the Vorax. Their ships are converging on the city center, Luna reported, her eyes scanning the map. If they break through, we'll lose everything. Elias clenched his fists. We can't let that happen. Redirect our forces to reinforce the center. And tell the air units to focus on the smaller ships, they're the ones causing the most damage. As the battle raged on, Elias couldn't help but marvel at Luna's resilience. Despite the chaos, she remained calm and focused, her quick thinking saving countless lives. Heading, a glimmer of hope. Hours into the battle, a message came through from Yarrick. We've reached the Vorax flagship. Deploying the disruptor now. Elias and Luna exchanged a hopeful glance. If the disruptor worked, it could turn the tide of the battle. Minutes later, a massive explosion lit up the sky as the Vorax flagship's shields collapsed. The enemy ships faltered, their energy weapons flickering and dying. It worked! Luna exclaimed, her face lighting up with relief. But their celebration was short-lived. The Vorax, though weakened, were far from defeated. Their ships regrouped, launching a counterattack with renewed ferocity. Heading, a desperate stand. As the Vorax closed in on the lab, Elias and Luna prepared for a final stand. They armed themselves with whatever weapons they could find, determined to protect the lab and the people inside. We're not going down without a fight, Elias said, his voice firm. Luna nodded, her eyes blazing with determination. Together, we can hold them off. Just as the Vorax forces reached the lab's perimeter, a familiar voice crackled over the comms. Elias, Luna, we're on our way. Hold on. It was Silvara. She and Yarrick had fought their way back, bringing reinforcements with them. The tide of the battle shifted once more as human and Zorathian forces pushed the Vorax back. Heading, the turning point. With the Vorax fleet in disarray, Elias and his team seized the opportunity to strike. Using the lab's advanced weaponry, they launched a coordinated attack that decimated the enemy's remaining ships. As the last Vorax vessel retreated, a cheer went up among the defenders. They had done it. Against all odds, they had held the line. Elias sank to the ground, exhausted but relieved. Luna and Silvara joined him, their faces etched with both weariness and triumph. "We did it," Luna said, her voice barely above a whisper. Elias smiled. "We did. But this is just the beginning. The Vorax won't give up that easily." Silvara nodded. "We need to prepare for the next wave. But for now, let's take a moment to celebrate. We've earned it." As the sun rose over the battered city, Elias felt a renewed sense of purpose. The battle had been brutal, but it had also shown him the power of unity. Together, humans and Zorathians had faced the impossible, and emerged victorious.